Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. For this video, I've got stories from surviving infidelity, relationship advice, and petty revenge. So if you want to get started with the stories, then just use the timestamps below the video. Now I'd like to give a big thank you to all of you that support me in so many different ways, like being YouTube members or Twitch subscribers or even donating during the live streams. Thanks a lot for your support, it really helps out and means a lot to me. And if this is the first time watching one of my videos and you like it, then consider subscribing to the channel and joining us on Discord. Now let's get started with today's stories. This post is from the subreddit Surviving Infidelity, and it's from user Existential Pirate. She said something that put me in a spiral. Been married 30 plus years. We were talking about life, being young, how many of our friends' marriages didn't survive, and how both men and women can treat each other badly instead of being there for one another through thick and thin. After a brief lull in the conversation, she made the comment, "I didn't know what I had," while absent-mindedly stroking my leg. Her eyes had that smoke from a distant fire look, and it was said with a distant voice and what, I swear, sounded like regret. I'm not even sure she realizes she said it out loud. Thanks to being in the army and, after that, various occupations that had me working away from home, I'm now wondering if there was infidelity somewhere in the past. After reading tons of stories from men who had the perfect marriage and no hint or clue for years, I'm wondering if she just uh-oh'd. To be clear, I don't think she's cheating now. Hell, I didn't think she cheated in the past until that moment. Now, I'm wondering. I didn't say anything in the moment. I've learned to allow uncomfortable silence to exist in my life because it makes other people talk. Hell, it was the next day before I began to really consider this. It hit me all at once that maybe she was really experiencing regret for a previous undiscovered action. What do I do with this? Ask her outright? If she's guilty, I'd expect a denial to direct questions because, for both of us, infidelity is a deal breaker. After all, unless I have proof or a confession from someone else, there is absolutely no way for me to confirm or deny. She'd benefit from not being honest about it. Assuming she's actually guilty, how do you look back into you and your partner's past to uncover something like this? I can electronically snoop on her all day, but if she's not doing anything now, there's nothing to find. I feel like I'm caught in a loop and need someone to press control break. Well, this is not an easy position for OP to be in. I mean, from what his wife said, that could be interpreted in so many different ways. In OP's case, it sounded to him like she might be confessing to something she did in the past without realizing it. And now he's totally paranoid and thinking about what this might have meant and how he should go about it. And that's the reason why I wanted to read this story. And instead of giving my commentary right now, I would like to know what you guys think about this thing. Where did your mind go when you heard this story? What did you think the wife was talking about? I'd love to know, so please let me know in the comment section how you would interpret what OP's wife said to him. In the meantime, we're gonna go take a look at the community comments from this subreddit and see how they read the situation. NWTGM1 says, OP, I am the betrayed spouse of a 20 plus year marriage. It could have been she was realizing that there were times she took you for granted and regretted it. She may not be guilty of infidelity, but maybe at one point she thought you both would part? She had an epiphany? Or there could have been a guy that tried, but she thought of it and then pushed him away, doing nothing, but she had a fleeting thought too. I would ask her to elaborate. It might not be what you fear. It could be, but not at the level you might think too. However, for a relationship to be good, there needs to be honesty, even if it is brutal honesty. You see, oftentimes the thought is, why tell? It would only make things worse. When they don't see that holding on to some secret does have an impact on the relationship. And here is the thing. Sometimes reading about all these great marriages that are blown up by infidelity, it makes us paranoid. I also truly think marriages or partnerships should not be measured by good, bad, but healthy or unhealthy. Tread carefully here. You may also want to be honest and state for some reason a whole lot of stories about X, Y, and Z have been coming up. Warhorse888 says, "Old long time married here, and I had an immediate reaction to your wife's comment. If I had a pensive moment and was stroking my husband's leg with the smoke of a distant fire in my eyes, I'd be thinking about not having sufficiently appreciated the happy times that we had or his taking care of me during the tough times. I would not be thinking of some lost opportunity with some outside random D in the past." I have never cheated on him in almost 30 years, and I know every lyric and I still love that song. I can't speak for your wife, however there is more than one interpretation of that moment. Apart Locksmith 1 says, "Think of this from a different angle. Is it possible your wife meant, I didn't realize how lucky I was to have you back then and I sure appreciate it now?" To clarify, it's possible your wife saw friend couples who were together all the time while you were away in the army. She might have seen and envied Marie and George going away 4 times a year. She might have seen Sarah and Jack kissing passionately and longed for that sort of public affection. From what you've written, it sounds like your wife was expressing appreciation for the relationship you have and how you have ended up stronger together now. Don't accuse a loving wife who sounds like she adores you of cheating. A gentle, loving question phrased softly is more appropriate. Perhaps try something along the lines of, "Hey honey, the other night when you said I didn't know what I had, what did you mean by that?" This could be totally innocent. I really hope it turns out well for you. There you go. That's what this community, the community from Surviving Infidelity, thought about OP's post. Nobody thought she was cheating. They gave him recommendations on how to talk to his wife and maybe get to the bottom of this thing, but they didn't go into, yeah, she's definitely cheating or that's a red flag or anything like that. A very different approach and angle to what OP was having. He was already thinking if she confessed to something without knowing it, and he admitted that reading all of these stories about awesome marriages blowing up just made him more paranoid about the whole situation. But then the community gave him a totally different perspective on how to look at this thing. Maybe she was just reminiscing on the past and regretted not being with him so much or taking him for granted at some point or something like that, which is a totally valid angle and point of view. Now, to OP's situation in particular, I would do what the last commenter suggested. Just casually asking her what she meant without accusing her or making her feel like she's being interrogated or anything like that. Just honestly ask her, "Hey, the other day you said this. What did you mean by it?" And then take it from there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that story in particular, and now we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's from user Amusing Goldfish. "How can I tell my sister that she shouldn't be having a wedding every year?" The title might be a little confusing, but let me explain. I, 30 female, have an older sister, 35 female, who got married in 2018. She spent a year and a half planning her wedding, obsessing over her wedding, complaining when other people didn't treat her wedding as a priority. It was honestly really stressful and difficult being a part of it because she was so obsessed with it. I don't know exactly how to explain it. It was like the wedding was the only important thing in her life, and the fact that the rest of her family and friends didn't feel the same made her upset. It was a year and a half of walking on eggshells around her. If anyone ever talked about anything not wedding related around her, she'd get pissed and sulk off. So the wedding happens in October of 2018, and it's obviously a beautiful wedding. My sister and brother-in-law probably spent $50,000 on this wedding. It's gorgeous. My sister is glowing the whole day. She's so happy. Not a touch of bridezilla the day of the wedding. It makes the previous 18 months of hell almost worth it. The wedding ends, sister and brother-in-law go on a honeymoon, and we assume afterwards they are just going to settle into normal married life. Except after the wedding and honeymoon, my sister never stopped being obsessed with her wedding. She obsessed about gifts they got that weren't on the registry. She obsessed about the photographer taking an extra few weeks to get all of her photos back. She ordered every single photo. And then, once the photos came back, it was another few weeks obsessing over those. At this point, my parents and siblings are all sick and tired of this wedding being the only thing we have talked about for 2 freaking years. Our mother gently tries telling her that the wedding was beautiful, but maybe she can put it aside and focus on something else for a while. My sister gets angry, says she doesn't understand why no one is being supportive of her special day. I tell her we've been supportive for 2 years, literally not talking about anything else, throwing her bridal showers, engagement parties, bachelorette parties, etc. She sulks off and we don't see her for a few weeks. When she comes back into our lives, she's suddenly happy again and tells us she's having an anniversary party. Dear God, it's happening again. I don't say anything, even though it's definitely weird to have a huge wedding and then plan a 1-year anniversary party for yourself? That's weird, right? Anniversary party happens. There's a vow renewal, she's wearing another freaking wedding dress. Myself and the rest of the bridesmaids put our foot down at buying another bridesmaid dress. It's insanity. We go along with it because it seems like she's only happy when she's planning these weddings. So, the wedding happens in 2018. Anniversary party in 2019, and the world almost ends in 2020, and she can't have a second anniversary party, and she's a raging bitch the whole year. Now she's planning another anniversary party, only bigger because she didn't get to have one last year. I cannot go through this again. I love my sister, but I'm starting to think she's mentally ill. You can't just keep having weddings. I don't know what to do. I've suggested therapy to her husband. He loves her to death and will do anything she wants. He doesn't necessarily care about these anniversary parties, but he loves her, so he's going along with it. He doesn't see this as an illness. I know if I mention anything negative about her having multiple weddings to the same man, she will kick me out of her life. I'm thinking that might be preferable to this wedding purgatory we're all in. Let me know what you think, Reddit. I'm at a loss. So apparently somebody wants to have a wedding every year. That's just too much. First of all, where my mind was going while I was reading this is, well, these people definitely have a lot of money to just burn through in having this type of party every year. Also, this is not normal. At least not to me. And I definitely think that the sister needs some help, but the husband apparently is not interested in doing any of that because he just loves her too much and, he's gonna let her keep on doing what she's doing. Now, I agree with OP that the sister definitely needs some help. I don't know if I would call it a mental illness, but this person clearly has some issues that she needs to work on. Now, to OP's problem of having to be in these weddings every single year, the way I would go about it, and this may mean my sister will stop talking to me for a while, is I'll tell her, you know what, sis, I can't be in your weddings every year, but I can do one every 5, one every 10, I don't know. But definitely not every year. Let's talk. What do you guys think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's take a look at the community comments to see what they had to say. Hot for Spock says, I don't have advice, I just wanted to say I'm sorry and that's insane. Mary Yu says, opt out, just quit. Don't be a bridesmaid for annual anniversary parties. Don't attend annual anniversary parties or vow renewals. Sorry, we can't make it. Shrug. KD Failed Shot 123 says, don't go. You don't have to go or be a part of everything she wants to do, but it's also her life and she is free to do as she pleases, even if it's unnecessary and obnoxious. But being unnecessarily obnoxious has consequences too, and sometimes those consequences can be that it drives the people closest to you away. Not saying to cut her off, but just saying, just as she is free to have a party for whatever she wants, you are free not to go. If she wants to throw a hissy over that afterwards, then it's again on her. You don't have to be mean or call her out on her crap. Just simply do something else because you have a life as well. OP's edit. Just wanted to add a few things I've been commenting on. My sister is overweight and has been for her whole life. I think her wedding day was one of the only times she ever felt beautiful her whole life, which is heartbreaking. She has 3 sisters and none of us have had the weight issues she's had. I completely understand that wasn't easy for her growing up. I think my parents may have overcompensated her for that. They love her obviously, but they've always known she was overweight and felt bad for her. So they would buy her things she didn't need, and I think that added on to this shopping addiction. My sister loves to shop for expensive items. Her home is gorgeous and looks like an HGTV magazine spread. She buys expensive shoes and purses and anything else. She only ever does this for herself though. I asked her to help me decorate my house and she wouldn't listen to me about what I liked and didn't like. She wants it her way. She and her husband each have very lucrative careers and want for nothing. As I mentioned above, the girl loves to shop and loves interior design. She is not expecting money or gifts from these parties. At least, that's not her main goal. Her main goal is the attention. Well, first of all, is that OP's edit does close a lot of questions, at least for me, considering the money thing. Apparently, they do have a good amount of money, so that's not a problem. And also, OP gives us some insight regarding her sister's personality and background and why she thinks she needs these many parties or one party a year, which is just too much. Now, to OP's particular problem of having to attend these parties every year, well, the community was pretty clear. She can always opt out. And on that note, we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's from user Dire Raven. Say goodbye to your check. Short and sweet. I was waiting in line at the park. You have to line up outside. Not a problem. This particular day, it was a bit windy. Again, not a problem. For me. A guy gets out of his car, check in hand. You know where this is going. The wind whips the check from his hand and somehow I managed to step on it as it scooted by me. I wasn't really expecting a thank you, to be honest. But what I definitely wasn't expecting was the guy to chew me out for dirtying up his check. Thanks for stepping on my check. The bank probably won't accept it now. Call me an a-hole, but I lifted my foot up and let it blow away in the wind down the street and said, well, they definitely won't accept it now. The guy flipped his crap as he was chasing it down the street and I got called up as next in line. Sorry, not sorry. Well, OP, you weren't expecting a thank you, but that's what you should have gotten because he's the one that let his check loose. You just caught it for him. Granted, not with your hands, but what? Yeah, you did the best you could. And he goes and says, oh, now they won't accept my check. Well, now you gotta chase it down first before you get to cash it. I wouldn't call you an a-hole, OP, and I would have liked to see in his face when you lifted your foot and the check just flew away. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.